Lennon or McCartney? What do you say? And before you even answer, better yet, what do you think The Rock would say? How do you feel Miss Piggy would respond to such a question? Who do you think Kevin Spacey would choose? Well, there's a documentary that showcases all these people's responses along with 547 other people. You can find it all out in the feature film Lennon or McCartney. This is normally the part where I go into farther depth about the topic we're talking about today, but the problem is there is no more depth. What I was talking about in the intro is exactly what this documentary is about. Hell, the creators of this documentary even went out of their way to ask people to give a one-word response to the question, Lennon or McCartney. Why would you request that they don't go into detail? When Charlie XCX says the word Lennon, I want to know why. Why the fuck can the world not know why Charlie XCX would choose Lennon over McCartney? I'm not kidding about the lack of substance. We get a 3-second intro for the production company behind this film, Scared Goose Productions. Beyond that fact, we then get transitioned to this black screen with some white text on there. It's not even a narrator. If I was blind and I somehow found a way to want to watch Lennon or McCartney, I wouldn't be able to because I can't read. So me being the good person I am going to read the intro paragraph for you.
550 artists were interviewed over the last 10 years. At some point during those interviews, they were asked a question and told to answer with one word only. Some stuck to one, some said more, some answered quickly, some thought it through, and some didn't answer at all. This is Lennon or McCartney.
After that awesome intro, I bet you're expecting we get some awesome exposition regarding John Lennon and Paul McCartney respectively. No, we don't get exposition for that. That's fine though, because clearly we're going to get a look behind the scenes to the people who decided to put this project together, to ask all these celebrities this one question and why they would do that, the meaning of the film. That's the exposition. No, that doesn't happen either. We don't even get a small brief history on the Beatles because instead what we get is nothing.
Lennon, I think probably.
I haven't even gotten to the icing on the cake because in the background of this intro and practically the whole film is an instrumental rendition of the Beatles' classic, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Now, it's a legendary track, I don't blame them for using it, but there's a small detail Beatles fans and even casuals alike might know about this song. It wasn't written by John Lennon, it wasn't written by Paul McCartney. It was written by George Harrison, and this is the song they chose for the film entirely dedicated to the question of John Lennon or Paul McCartney. How do you f*** up this bad? I'm done. Let's just do what the film does and get into the most interesting celebrity responses. We'll go through the ones I thought stood out particularly. And then, I don't know. I mean, it's such a weird movie that I'm just gonna dive into my favorite moments and we'll see what happens after. Like, for example, Ben Howard blows a raspberry to the question. Then, he says he'd choose neither and follows it up with Hendrix. That wasn't the question.
Neither. Hendrix.
Bo Diddley decided to say neither, and his reasoning was he didn't know what the Beatles were doing and still doesn't know what the Beatles are doing.
Neither one.
You don't listen to the Beatles?
No, I ain't got nothing for them. Okay. I don't understand what they're doing. Never have.
Adam Duritz of Counting Crows fame completely miss the part where you're supposed to answer with one word and ends up yapping for about 40 seconds on why McCartney is the clear and only option.
McCartney. Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, though, because people misunderstand that.
All right.
Because
I think Lennon's a great riff, especially. A great riff, really. But melody is unquantifiable. When you live your day, think I should write about. I don't know where people get melody from.
Dr. David Suzuki confuses John Lennon with Vladimir Lenin of Soviet Union fame.
You mean Lennon or Leni?
John Lennon, not
Lennon.
Stalin Lennon.
Lennon.
The band The Hives, to the shock of no one, say bleh and hate on both of them. And the problem with that is they're the Hives, and they're shit-talking the Beatles.
Either. It's that one word. Blah.
Jacob Dylan of the Wallflowers calls out how stupidly divisive this question is before saying the Beatles as a whole are the greatest members of the Beatles. And he has by far the best answer because, yes, this is a stupidly divisive question.
I'm not answering that. Do not engage in that one or the Beatles versus Stones. There's room for all of them.
Right.
I would never choose that.
Cool. No, that's a
Sorry.
good answer. No, don't be sorry, man.
How about no?
Justin Bieber makes a really weird growl noise before he gives the victory to Lennon.
That's so hard. Lennon.
Katy Perry chooses McCartney with the beautiful philosophical reasoning that she loves him.
McCartney because I love him.
Kevin Spacey says Lennon and somehow even makes him just saying one word sound creepy. Like, listen to this shit.
Lennon.
Lisa Lampelli gives the win to Paul McCartney because, and I quote, he's boyishly cute and he gave half his money to that bitch with one leg. Excuse me, what?
Oh my God. I have to say McCartney because he's still boyishly cute and half his money has gone to a bitch with one leg.
3 out of 4 of Metallica's members were interviewed with this question. Now, Kirk decided to choose Lennon, Robert chose Harrison, and Lars said Oasis.
Ringo.
Oasis.
Can he be a normal human being for one goddamn second? Can Lars act like a human person on the planet Earth for 1 second? He said Oasis. F***ing Oasis to the question, Lennon or McCartney? Oasis, Lars. What the f*** is wrong with you? After half of this documentary already only showcasing humans, Miss Piggy randomly shows up and gives her 2 cents and says McCartney. Okay.
McCartney.
When Russell Peters was asked the question, Lennon or McCartney, he snobbily says who, after which he snobbily says neither.
Who?
Lennon.
Neither.
Sarah McNeil chooses Ringo because he's so jolly before course correcting to the actual question and choosing McCartney because she likes melodic things.
Ringo Starr. He's so jolly.
He is very jolly.
Maybe McCartney. I don't know. I like melodic things.
Todd Phillips says he used to choose Lennon, but after watching some documentaries, he now thinks Lennon is a jerk, so his new answer is McCartney.
You know, it used to be Lennon, but I've watched all these documentaries about him recently, and I feel like he was kind of a jerk. I know it's crazy, so I'm going to go with McCartney.
That's really it for the interesting interviews. The rest are mostly people just following their instructions of a one-word response, most of which happen to be Lennon or McCartney.
Oh my God! Wow!
And very few threw a wild card in there with either both, the Beatles, neither, Harrison, or Ringo. That was the most boring documentary I've ever watched, which makes sense because this was not a planned documentary. You see, this film was made by a man named Matt Skychter. Matt was a big-time interviewer. He interviewed lots of comedians, artists, actors, any range of famous people. He likely dabbled in a small interview here and there with them. And in his interviews, he liked to ask a few quirky questions. His most famous quirky question, of course, being Lennon or McCartney. So after about a decade of asking this same exact question to practically everyone he can get his hands on for an interview, he's like, wow, I've got all this footage of people giving an answer to the question, Lennon or McCartney. Wouldn't it be cool if I put all this footage together in a compilation and made a documentary out of it called Lennon or McCartney? The big problem being this isn't a documentary. It's a compilation of footage of people answering the same question over and over again. There is literally nothing captivating about this film. You are literally just watching slop be fed to you from the mouths of a different celebrity every few seconds about whether they would choose Lennon or McCartney. And the big thing with it is, a lot of these people have nothing to do with the Beatles.
Lennon.
I love Breaking Bad. I love Aaron Paul. I love Aaron Paul's performance of Jesse Pinkman. The thing is, with Aaron Paul's performance of Jesse Pinkman, when I hear him say the line, "Yeah, bitch!" I'm not really thinking he took very much influence from John Lennon or Paul McCartney. So, why exactly would I care which one he prefers? Why exactly would I care what most of these people prefer? I mean, the documentary would make a lot of sense if it was asking artists who were likely influenced by the Beatles. Hearing stuff like Black Sabbath, Metallica, The Doors' opinions on, who they would choose. That was kind of interesting because, of course, you can hear their influence across art, across the medium of music. Why the f*** would a comedian care what Beatle is the best? So yeah, go check it out if you want. Doesn't come recommended from me. It was probably the most useless documentary you could sit your ass down for. Next family movie night, if you throw this on, your kids, your spouse, and everyone around will hate you. Because it doesn't even ask Slipknot the question, Lennon or McCartney.
I want to say Paul McCartney called us shit knot.